Hi everyone, it's Darren Hunter here and I'm with Michael Sanz. This is the Outsourced PM podcast show where our whole aim is to teach you how to effectively get your team unbusy. I mean, we're seeing problems everywhere where teams are just too busy doing the mundane tasks, all of that administration work, and they're not able to then focus on the high value, dollar productive growth activities. So this is all about taking away the grunt work. So Michael, today what we're talking about is, in episode 1, we talked about your story on how you effectively manage 650 properties in Melbourne with 1.5 staff on the ground. Of course, you had up to 3 virtual assistants working for you, and they were doing so many tasks. And today we're going to talk about 30 different tasks that can be successfully outsourced away from your team on the ground. Now, for a list of those tasks that we're going through today, just go to teamsbydesigntasks.com. That's teamsbydesigntasks.com. So again, Michael, we don't want to be hitting people with too much detail today because we don't want people falling asleep. We're going to be really careful with that. But we just want to whet your appetite, everybody, with the up to 30 different hardcore property management tasks that can be outsourced away from your team, that can be done more effectively, more efficiently, more consistently, and more cost effective than what your team can do. And so and leaving your team to do, a lot better stuff. So what we've done, Michael, was we've broken down these 30 tasks into 5 different easy to understand categories. So let's get started on this, on what is actually possible. So everyone, this is a smorgasbord approach. Please don't be overwhelmed by the 30 different things. Just think about what can work for you. Let's just start with the communication tasks, Michael. Let's talk about that. And in a nutshell, what are we actually talking about?
Yeah, and I think too, just to kind of preface, use this list as a way to get your creative juices thinking. What else can you do, right? So we're going to go over the 30 odd tasks. There's a lot of sub tasks to it, which we'll mention a couple of them. But think outside the square when we're going through this list. Like, it took time for us to put this together over a number of years, basically to work out what works, what doesn't work.
And I just want to throw in an invitation to, look, if you feel any one of these things resonate with you, that you could be taking off your team, making them unbusy, so you can then replace them with growth-focused, high-dollar productive tasks to strengthen and grow your business, just get in contact. Just go to teamsbydesigntasks.com, or Michael, I think it's send an email to hello@teamsbydesign.com, so you can talk to the team, talk to Michael more about what you want to do to transfer the grunt work away from your team. So let's get started, Michael, on communication type tasks.
So for us, communication, one of the most obvious is the phones, right? So offices get hundreds of calls a week, maybe more. Being able to kind of pick up that slack, handling things like all your inbound and outbound calls, leasing inquiries, setting appointments, right? Taking the calls from people inquiring about property, just the general phone. Our phone setup was, when people rang, press 1 if you're a landlord, 2 if you're a tenant, right? That meant that our office could answer the phone for an owner, and then any tenant or leasing inquiries went through to our team. I guess also with communication, what people should have is email management. So you don't need to be the king of the domain over your email. Somebody else could be working with you on your email, making sure that all the urgent items are attended to. Anything non-urgent can also be actioned. But it's amazing how many emails that we get we don't need to respond to, or somebody else can do, or we're forwarding on to someone else to action. Mm-hmm. So email management, Darren, like we have that now. Game changer.
Let's stop there. I want to go back. There's a couple of things I want to discuss here. Firstly, when you said getting your inbound, outbound calls sorted and so forth, immediately what comes to mind, and I've got to think of be the devil's advocate here, Michael. We're talking outsourcing, taking grunt work, grunt type tasks, mundane administration, assistant type work away from your team to get them unbusy, and giving them to We are very much firm affirmers of the using Filipino staff, but already we've got a problem here, Michael, of English skills and accents. How are we dealing with that? You know, there's a lot of people would be fearful for their owners and tenants to be speaking to people from the Philippines.
Well, given Australia is such a highly multicultural country, you'd be surprised. Most people we speak to on the phones have an accent in general. When we do recruit our team, though, we have people that we would recruit, let's say, voice and non-voice. Those people with non-voice, I just wouldn't have them on the phone to your clients, right? Having them on the phone to you, no problem. But it could just be that certain pronunciation of words or clarity in voice isn't for the phone. And that doesn't mean that they're not good at other tasks. So we separate those that have voice skills and non-voice skills. When we look, again, we look for clarity, we look for pronunciation. But Darren, we make thousands, or we've made like tens of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of phone calls. And you just don't see it. I mean, we actually have a full-time QA person listening to all our calls.
Yeah.
Right?
And every call with the team is recorded. So anytime that we have an issue, we can just go listen to that recording.
Yeah, correct. And then we get it graded. We listen to it. We give rewards for call qualities and empathy and making sure that the idea is, Darren, that the person answering the phone can handle that inquiry rather than having to, pass it on to somebody else. It's taking ownership of that call. So if you're an office and a lot of your calls are tenants and they're asking about rental properties, or they're asking about maintenance and things like that, imagine having someone triage that before it gets through to the senior PM.
Absolutely. So, and even my executive assistant from the Philippines, Bev, excellent English skills. So I guess it's all about just making sure that we select the right person for the task, correct?
I was totally surprised the other week, and it still surprises me when I speak to people that have got virtual assistants and I say, oh, your life must be so different, and then answering the phone calls, doing your emails. What? No, they're not allowed to be on the phone. They're not allowed to make calls. And I'm like, well, but hang on, like you're not really fully utilizing the resource you've got there. Like, what a waste.
And I think you're right. Multiculturalism is very much prominent in Australia, incredibly prominent in New Zealand, and of course in the United Kingdom as well. And they're the three countries primarily that Teams by Design supplies staff to. So you're right. Okay, well, let's keep on moving on. So another big issue I'm hearing all the time from property managers is the bane of email management. And I don't have that burden anymore. I've got someone that's managing my emails for me. It's so easy. This is a really easy task to have outsourced by someone that can do it better than me, more effectively than me, and more cost efficiently than me too.
Yeah, and I really love every day I get a notification on my chat platform. Michael, these are the really important emails that you've received today. And then I get that follow-up reminder. Michael, have you done this? What was the outcome here? And as I reply to emails, my team member can see that I've replied to the email and they take it off my action list. It's just making sure that I prioritize what's important. And then the things that aren't important, we put them, either they can answer it or I tell them how to answer it, and then it's done. Right? And I don't need to dwell on it or harp on it. Like I get to go to bed and not worry about my emails.
Now, there's another list, another task on the communication list, because we'll move to leasing next, was multilingual services. Now, we're dealing in property management with people that come from all different manner of nationalities and have different languages, and English isn't their first language. So how do multilingual services and that type of thing can work with virtual assistants in the real estate office?
Yeah, I guess, we have clients that, Chinese speaking. So we've been able to go out and find virtual assistants that are fluent in Mandarin or whichever dialect that the office needs. And then that just kind of helps, again, as that first round buffer to help with the general inquiries. It could be any language, okay? Because there are people in the Philippines that speak Spanish, speak Italian, it's so vast. It's also just touching on that multilingual, Darren, is we're also able to recruit people with special skills. Like we had people that needed estimators. We need people that needed draftspeople, like whatever the skill that you need, if they're not just specific to real estate, that's fine. We can go out and recruit someone that specializes in what you're looking for.
No, that's cool. Now, we had another list here in communication with customer surveys, feedback surveys and questionnaires, and we'll leave that. It's just added to the list. Let's move on to leasing now. And leasing is a huge procedure. It's the biggest procedure of all. So let's just start talking about the leasing tasks that can be done. And let's just get the biggest one off the block, which the VAs can be doing, which is application processing.
Yeah, so frontline. I know, again, there are platforms out there now that will send out the privacy pages and try and do some general follow-up. And they're great, right? Use the tools that are available to you. There's a number of platforms out there. Being able to send that information out and then have someone call up that office right away saying, hey, I've just sent you through the Privacy Act. Can you answer these questions for me? Saves time. Being able to do the NTD, the tickers. We do like social media profiling. Some clients want us to go further, but we'll go on LinkedIn. We'll have a look on Facebook, Instagram, see that German Shepherd that they've got when they say they don't actually have a dog. And we comment on that. We can do international checks. So when people are, coming from overseas and you're asleep to do the reference, we call them at night time to check the reference. If you've got certain questions that you want us to ask, we ask them. But and it's not just like Australian clients we help here. Like, we're helping people in numerous countries, New Zealand, UK, with application processing. And we get it done, and it means that you get a completed application form. And Darren, sometimes we encourage people as an agency, we can do part of the application processing so that you can make a captain's call, right? You can then get on and do parts of the application that you want. But we've done the grunt work.
So let's just keep on moving on with this. And I'm just going to ask you a question which you're not prepared for. Your team right now offers application processing. So you're taking the grunt work off property managers. How many applications a week do you think that your current team processes in all?
Oh, that'd be a good question. That'd be hundreds.
Hundreds
a week. It could even be more than that.
And how long does it take when you're really thorough with nutting down on application processing? How long does it take on average per application for a property manager to do it? Be an hour.
It takes about 45 minutes to an hour and a half on average for an application to be fully completed. And that's because you might have multiple applicants on there. I guess that time frame that people in the office don't take into consideration is that wait time. So they might send the papers off or make a phone call. It might take them 24 hours to complete the application, but the total time on there, you'd probably say around that hour.
I remember as a property manager, I reckon 20% of my time was taken up with application processing. So already, once this is done successfully, I'm already becoming unbusy as a property manager, which is awesome. So let's just keep on going on with this. Also, we've got around leasing, we've got new lease preparation, but also new management agreement or onboarding, new client onboarding work as well. Tell us quickly about that.
Yeah, so we have clients, right, for example, where we advertise the property, they do the showing of the property, the people inquire about viewing it, we book them in, we make sure the property managers are there and turn up because we do their diary management also. The person applies for the property, so we get that application, we process that application, we give the client back a pro forma, this is the information, this is the application. The agency then approve or decline the application. They send us an email back saying these are the terms that we've agreed on. We then complete the new application, so the new lease, the whole setup of the lease, the terms, we put it on DocuSign or whichever signing platform they want so the tenant can sign it. We even have offices where they don't use DocuSign, that we're on their server. We send the document to their printer to print when the person is coming in to sign. Right.
Wow.
So all they've got to do is go to the printer, pick it up, go to the meeting room.
There really is grunt work. It's all those little things are being looked after too. We've got to keep on going on with this, but you've also got comparative market analysis, CMAs, but also advertising and marketing, loading to property listing portals, all of that sort of thing as well. That grunt work. How do you do that?
So that's fine. So we have access to all the property portals. It's also, Darren, going through and changing those big essays of descriptions into a couple of sentences and a couple of dot points there. But, our team are able to, our team members can also edit the photos, put in the blue sky there to replace the grey ones in Melbourne and then put that up online. So tenant gives notice to vacate, that comes in. We see that.
Yeah.
we then start the advertising process.
All right. Digital marketing, video editing. How does that work?
Yeah, so we have like team members that specialize in these skills.
We've got 2 video editors with teams.
2 video editors. We have 3 graphic artists. We've got social media managers, and their job is to create that content, or to help create that content, to make the photos have the certain impact that we want them to have. We have clients that use the service to pretty up the photos, to put videos together, to transcribe the videos and put the captions on their videos for them, to then post their social content on social platforms, post their articles, their blogs, because it takes time, right? It takes time for people.
I guess to remind everyone, we've got all of this stuff in a document. So go to teamsbydesigntasks.com to get that free download of all these, the details around these 30 tasks that can be successfully outsourced. Michael, let's just keep on going on with this. Let's now change our focus to growth tasks. Now, just for a quick FYI for everyone, this is all about releasing your team on the ground with mundane, everyday grunt work tasks, administration, assistant work tasks that can be done successfully, more efficiently, more cost effectively than what your team can do it. All right, that's what we're talking about. So that we want your team on the ground to be doing growth tasks, high value, dollar productive tasks. So yes, but even so, the virtual assistants can still be helping out with the growth side of things. Michael, what are some of those growth type tasks that can be done? I think database management is one.
Yeah, database management. I mean, the amount of clients, Darren, that we talk to, and they say, "Oh, I've got this list, but I haven't done anything with it. It's probably too old." Doing research on those people. We had someone in New South Wales, and they were trying to figure out growth. So we went into their CoreLogic, and because they don't give all the information, right, Darren, in CoreLogic, they don't give you the addresses and how to find someone. But we use an example. We found a property. We then got that owner, and we went to Facebook. We found the owner on Facebook. We found who they were, where they worked, and everything. And we were able to help that person get a lead. Right. And because we did the grunt work, but if they were to do it, they wouldn't have probably realized, oh, I've got to go here. I've got to log in here. I've got to chase here.
Yeah. Here's another one, social media posting. I mean, so many people out there know social media will grow the rent roll. Doesn't mean they know how to do it effectively. We teach that as well at Inspire Growth Training, but it's the work and the grunt work and all the time it takes to get content posted. How can virtual assistants help in that?
So we give all of our clients at TBD a social media calendar, right? It helps them know what type of content we need. Our social media gurus can help schedule those posts so that you don't have to worry about it. We can check the analytics of it. We can see what's working, what's not working. We can help with engagement, right? We can get on and start making sure that your profile is becoming more visible. These are things that take time, and a lot of people neglect it.
All right, so let's just put that aside, because we've got to assume here, Michael, there's a lot of people that may have their virtual assistants with other companies.
Yep.
Or dealing with it with themselves. How can they get their virtual assistants, with this calendar you talk about?
Well, that's a good question.
What can they be doing? What can they be doing getting their virtual assistants on the social media posting?
Have regular meetings with your social media team. Now, Darren, one of the things where people fail in this is they have a general VA who doesn't have creativity, and that's not a negative comment, but they just don't know.
They can't do everything. One person can't do everything, right?
They can't do everything. So firstly, make sure that person is equipped to handle that task. If you are with another company, ask that company about their social media team, what they have, what they can offer. Okay. Ask them if they've got a social media calendar. Social media calendars take a lot of time to put together. And you want to kind of have that right flow of making sure that really hits a nail on the head with your social media content, right? So if you are with another company, that's great. But ask the person you're working with, can they do it?
And what can I say is that up till, 3 months ago, I was the person that was responsible for Inspired Growth Training social media content. It struggled with my time. When we traveled, it didn't happen because I couldn't. And now it's tickety-boo. We've got a virtual assistant who's very effective, very cost efficient, who's doing the work. We meet with them once a week in a 15-minute phone call. We look at the week that's gone and examine our results. We look at the weeks coming and what they've got prepared. We just go, yep, no, change that, adjust that, fine tune that, no, get rid of that. We don't like that. Oh, by the way, we've got the wrong grammar here, all of that stuff. It takes me 15 minutes. And there's the next week that's being loaded with the social media calendar, that we've done. So I think that's a big one. But let's just now move to general management, day-to-day management. You've got
Darren, just on that too.
Yeah.
You were nervous at the start when giving such a big responsibility to someone else, thinking that are they going to be able to do it, because you're a guru at social, like you really know.
The message has to be specific, to get the engagement that we need. It's a very fine line.
Yeah, and so like you had hesitations too, because you were the control.
I didn't want to let go. I didn't want to let go, and that's one thing. Not just this task. There's a lot of tasks here. Principals thinking I don't want to let that go to someone, but sometimes we have to question our mindset and go, is it possible? And some things don't work, but there's a lot that do if we just are open to a better mindset on things. So, COVID, COVID smashed people to use virtual tours. They wouldn't have done it before. They've smashed them to allowing their team to work from home. They wouldn't have allowed that before, but now having done it, a lot of people seeing the benefits and not going back to the old way. Using VAs is exactly the same thing. There's so many tasks your team just doesn't need to be doing. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about this day-to-day management stuff. So I've got on here, Mike, we've got lease renewal, in the lease renewal process, we've got rent arrears or late rent, and we've got tenant entry and exit reports and things like that. And naturally, our virtual assistants aren't on the ground to do the reports, but how can, in general, virtual assistants be handling those type tasks?
Yeah, you touch on lease renewals, starting that process, it be that 120 days out, you contact the tenant, seeing what their intentions are, doing a CMA on the property, the market analysis to work out what the rent is, letting the agent know what the tenant's intentions are. The agent can speak to the owner, your VA can speak to the owner about what are your intentions, and you start that process. So you've always got someone in a lease, and if they're not going to be in a lease, then you can deal with your processes. Rent arrears. Darren, we've helped people with rent arrears throughout Australia, UK, New Zealand, getting their rent arrears down to low figures. Because it's one of those, we had one office and their rent arrears were so high, they didn't start their process until day 4 because they, took into consideration bank days and things like that. No, we can help get your arrears down to really, really low, sub 1. Tenant exit and entry reports. We have people that dictate, we type them up, we transcribe them for them, we help clean up their reports on Inspection Manager and the platforms that they use.
But what I like as well is your method of collecting rent. My method was very much bullet a gate. Your method is a lot different. It's very effective, and that's what you've taught your VAs to do for the property management offices that we work for. Well done on that. Let's just keep on moving. So we've also got tenant notices, regulated forms. We're talking legal forms here, that a termination notice or a breach notice or whatever, or an application to tribunal or court or whatever. How can virtual assistants be involved on such a fragile task as that?
The same way that you could have someone in the office also who's able to make a mistake in the office, it's if they know what they're doing, if they know what the breaches are about. And it comes down to communication. Your virtual assistant isn't someone who you don't communicate with, who is in another country in a dark room behind a lit screen. Yeah. We're talking about people that are part of the team, that communicate with the team as a whole. They are your team. They are your team members. So it'd be like me saying, hey, Darren, we've got to give notice to vacate for such and such property under section 53, whatever the section is. Sure, Michael, no problem. I'll do that now.
Look, Michael, we are clearly in the bowels of the beast at the moment, and all of these hardcore tasks, right? And people's heads might be spinning and thinking stuff. And I need to perhaps just get into their heads right now. Michael, this is all good and well to talk about regulated forms and doing all these tasks. And, how do you train these people? What tools are there that you can get that knowledge out of your team on the ground effectively and quickly, so to your team, without your team being burdened with all of this training that needs to be done? What are some of the tools or things that people can be doing that effectively get training and tasks, people up to speed with these tasks?
Yeah, it's a great question, great point there, because you're not going to find, it's very hard to find someone in the Philippines or someone around the world who has Australian real estate experience. So when we hire people, look, if they've got some experience in real estate, great. We look for certain attributes and qualities, communication, is their head screwed on? What have they been doing before? What's their client interaction like? Now, when we sign them up and onboard them, we then put them through a whole bunch of inspired growth trainings, because we have over 300 hours on our portal.
They're also going through my online training of all my nuts and bolts stuff that's ever been trained in my career as well. And I only found out they're actually forced to watch it.
It's compulsory. They've got to watch it.
They're fully trained when they come up. They just understand the lingo. They understand property management even before they start.
Yep. We also have other training platforms like Real Plus, which is out in the marketplace there. Other training platforms which they have to go through and watch. Then we also have our team in general that have a wide range of knowledge of certain tasks. Also, we have videos of other tasks, for particular tasks that people can watch before they start. Now, each office, while the tasks are fundamentally the same, each office has got different processes. So we get you to also do video recordings of how you do, how you like things being done. So then we can help try and replicate that. We have supervisors, team leaders. We have people that help the people on our side to get the tasks done. We work with you and with our team. Now, if your virtual assistant is with another company or you're doing it yourself direct, that's fine. Communicate. Let them know what you're after, what is working, what isn't working. Darren, another thing on this list too, making sure you've got the right person who can do the right tasks. Don't be limited to thinking you only need one virtual assistant. You might need 2 or 3, depending on the size of your team, to break down these tasks so they do focus on what's important and what they're good at.
Yeah. For me, look, with my team, there's certain tools that I use with my virtual assistants that I could not be without. So screen recording is so important. I can quickly screen record over a minute of a task that I need, or I could spend 5 minutes on a particular task and how it works. I can record whatever's on my screen, so it records what I see and what I say. And Loom, LOOM.com, is a great program for that. So I use Loom Video. So what it does, once I've done the recording, I press a button, it automatically loads it to the internet, gives me a link, and I drop that link, and I can drop that onto a Google spreadsheet, so the VA automatically and very quickly gets access to it, or it could be a Google Doc, or it could be a platform like Workplace, or you guys use Slack is another app that can be used for communication and dropping links to. At the moment, I'm using the Gmail platform. So in Gmail, you can have text chat in there. You've also got set Google Tasks as well, and I can drop. So there's a whole manner of ways that you can very quickly get a screen recording in a link to a person within seconds around the planet, so they can actually see and go back to that video at any time. You don't have to be talking to them on the phone to then relay a complex and complicated task or something on how to do something. So screen recording is a big one, using Google Sheets, Google Docs, Google Tasks, all of those sort of things, or Slack, using Asana. Some people, there's a Trello as well. There's all sorts of online, cloud-based programs that can be used. So look, it's really easy. Please don't get confused with all of this. It's really easy to know how to use this, and have a chat to Michael at Teams by Design. Just go to teamsbydesign.com. I'm sure, Michael, you can give some guidance there. It's so easy. All right, let's keep on moving on. Now, we've also got, under general management, we talked about breach notices. We've also got inspection management and reviewing annual MAs as well. Now, with management agreement renewals, Western Australia is very prominent on that. But how can, and also trust accounting as well as another one for general management. How are virtual assistants being used on those tasks?
I guess all the general management tasks, so like accounting, bookkeeping. We have accountants, CPAs, bookkeepers that specialize in those particular tasks, because they're numbers, they're analytical, so you kind of want them to be able to handle that. The other general, like reviewing annual managements, making sure they're all up to date. Some states they expire, other states they kind of go on to a general after the exclusive period. But
Yes.
You want your clients to be signed up with you. You want everything to be seamless.
Yeah, I agree. Let's just keep on moving on with this, Michael, because we have a lack of time. But we've got property management, landlord accounting, so invoices, end of financial year statements. We've got reconciliations, end of month, end of year, daily reconciling as well. That can be easily be done by someone that doesn't have to be working in your office. And that's bookkeeping. We've got e-filing, setting up cloud-based folders. We've got invoicing, just general invoicing, could be water collection, the tenants, all of those sort of things. And so, a lot of the day-to-day grunt work that doesn't have to be done, in your office. There's some good things there. Let's just keep on moving on. Let's now move to, we've talked about communication tasks, leasing tasks, general management, and we've also covered growth tasks. Now, we've also got a special category here, Michael, of special skills. How does that, what type of special skills are we talking?
Yeah, it's like we were touching on earlier. Anything that you may need a specialty in. Like I said, we have a client, they needed estimators, draftspeople for their business because they also had a building arm to what they were doing. So we were able to recruit for that. We needed someone to do voiceover work for some videos and the cartoon drawings. So we were able to go out and source voice specialists for them. We have people that were in the medical field, and they needed people that were up to speed with medical terminology, like an assistant work for doctors, also accountants, lawyers. So we placed mortgage brokers, people to help with the mortgage broking processing there. So whatever the task that you've got, we can go out and recruit for that skill set, right? Just touching before, Darren, one of the things that I noticed is a lot of office managers, so the people that are kind of running the teams, running the office, they're caught up with a lot of these general management tasks. And I find that when we speak to them, they're the ones that are getting really hyper stressed because they've got no support, because they see that the property managers that are working under them are at max capacity also. And so they're struggling. And then you get offices that are run by sales, that are owned by sales agents that don't see how much stress these tasks put on the entire team. So by taking away some of the grunt work tasks, it's going to allow the team to focus on what they were employed to do.
So just concluding this podcast, Michael, we've talked about 30 different tasks. Of course, if you want that list, go to teamsbydesign.tasks.com. That's teamsbydesign.tasks.com for the 30 things that we've just gone through, which are typically the things that you can cherry pick from to outsource and unbusy your team. Your team needs to be focused. Your high-value team members need to be focused on high-value, dollar-productive growth activity type tasks to grow and strengthen your rent roll, build your wealth, all those sort of things. Don't get them caught up in the mundane. Get that outsourced to people that can do it possibly as effective as your team, but also more consistently than what your team members can do. Because I know for a fact that when outsourcing occurs, correct and proper outsourcing occurs, that bit of your business and tasks goes into set and forget. It just goes into Swiss watch mode, and it just runs like a Swiss watch really well, as long as it's done properly. And of course, Michael, for people to talk to you about what tasks they would like to outsource and unbusy their team with, how do they get in contact with you?
Yep, just go to the website, teamsbydesign.com, leave an inquiry there, and we'll come back to you right away.
Yeah, I think that's the best way. Go to teamsbydesign.com. I think if you're not into outsourcing, you're doing yourself and your team a disservice. Get your team focused on the stuff that's going to have the best impact to your business. So, Michael, great podcast episode. Well done. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and take care.
Thanks. Bye.